A very warm welcome to the top three qualifiers for the FIA Formula One Miami Grand Prix. In third place, Carlos Sainz. In second place, Charles Leclerc. And taking a 38th career pole position and his 6th consecutive pole of this 2024 campaign, the pole sitter, Max Verstappen. Many congratulations, Max. It was tight at the front between you and Charles in particular. Just how satisfied were you with how Q3 played out?
I think it's just been extremely difficult to put a lap in where everything just works. For some reason, it's just extremely difficult to make the tires work around the whole lap. Yeah, sometimes, you have little moments here and there, and it's just not very consistent, let's say like that. And that makes it very difficult to, let's say, try and hit a perfect lap. So every lap that you put on the board was a bit of guessing what was going to happen, which doesn't make it very, let's say, nice to drive. But I think, handled the situation well. We did the best we could, and the car definitely felt a little bit nicer compared to yesterday.
Is the track more unpredictable this year than last year? Because pole is slower this year.
No, I think it's quite warm, but also, it is very slippery around here. The tires don't really seem to work that well. And when you combine those things, it just makes it really, tricky.
Were you happier with the car in this qualifying session than you were in sprint quali yesterday?
Yeah, it definitely felt a bit more connected, let's say like that, a bit more predictable, which hopefully will help me tomorrow in the race.
Well, look, let's briefly talk about the race. You've got both Ferraris immediately behind. Does that make the race potentially more complicated for you?
Honestly, the only thing that we can control is, within ourselves. So that's what we'll focus on. As long as I'm happy with my balance in the race, I think we'll be all right. It just needs to be a bit better than what we had today in the race. I think if we can achieve something like that, that we're in a bit of a happier window, then I'm sure we'll be quick.
All right. Good luck. Thank you. Thanks for that. Charles, let's come to you now. 2 front row starts for you this weekend. How happy are you with your car?
Happy. I mean, I didn't change much of it since this morning. A little bit of fine tuning, but all in all, we were quite in a good place. However, as Max said, no, it's extremely tricky to put a lap together. Tires, especially in the second sector, are very inconsistent, and there are quite a few corners where you don't really know what you're going to get, and that makes it very, very difficult. So. It was very tricky qualifying, but second is not a bad place to start the race.
What about that second lap in Q3? Talk us through that.
I went all in, but obviously it was a little bit too much. And but at the end, I don't think many drivers, I think apart from Checo, the drivers at the front didn't really improve on that second time lapse. So I don't know if anything has changed win-wise or whatsoever. But all in all, I think the first time lap was pretty good. There were still some corners where I was not extremely happy, but it was very, very difficult to put the tires in the right window for the whole lap. And I think that was the same for everybody.
Charles, the Ferrari is more competitive here than it was in China a couple of weeks ago. Can you just try and explain why you think that is?
It's a little bit of track characteristics. I think there are still things that are a little bit not understood yet. As in China, we were struggling mostly with the low speed, and here there are quite a few low speed corners, but we seem to be stronger. So we'll look into it and try to understand, but we've got 2 very good examples, and I'm sure that we'll manage to have conclusions very soon.
All right, best of luck. Thank you for that. Carlos, coming to you now. How did the session pan out for you?
Yeah, not bad. Made some progress compared to yesterday, and I had a better feeling with the car, which allowed me to push the limits a bit better. At the same time, same as these guys, it was a bit of a lottery out there. Putting a lap together was extremely difficult. You always end up the lap feeling like you could have gone 2-3 tenths quicker if you clean it up, but you never actually get to clean it up because next lap you always do a small mistake here and there, and you leave another 2 tenths. So I think we all are left with the same frustrating kind of feeling that it's extremely difficult to put a lap together. Overall, I think tight margins, good progress, and a good position to start tomorrow.
Well, what about the race? Do you think you and Charles can be Max's equal in terms of performance tomorrow?
I think when Max starts in front, it's always difficult, to find ways to beat him. Having 2 cars is our best possible bet in trying to do that, and we will give it our best shot, knowing that is obviously, if you look at the last statistics, it's going to be extremely difficult, but we'll give it our best shot.
Given the unpredictable nature of the laps today, do you think strategy-wise it'll be different to last year tomorrow?
No, unfortunately, I think the tire compounds are a bit on the conservative side for this Grand Prix. I think, we could have done maybe with softer compounds and maybe a bit more strategy variability. I don't expect much differences to last year.
All right. Thanks to all 3 of you. Any questions from the floor? Yes, please.
Alex Callan, Autosport. Question to Max, please. Max, on your second run in Q3, it looked like you were, I think, purple sector or quicker in the first sector, but obviously slower after that. Was there a particular moment you felt cost you, or just, as you were saying, it's a combination of everything and the tyres going away? Thanks.
It's just super unpredictable. It's quite frustrating. I mean, it's not really fun to drive like that. But I can't tell you what went wrong, because I did the same thing, and then you come out of corners and you suddenly lose 1/10 or whatever. And I go, all right, it's a bit less grip. It's just, some qualifyings you go in, okay, I can improve here, there. The tires are quite consistent, and, you can just push. Here, it just feels like you have no idea really like what you're going to get, and that makes it really difficult. And I mean, my first sector was a little bit better, but then the middle sector, it just fell away from me again for whatever reason. And then I think I was quite equal into the last corner, so I just tried to brake a bit later, like a tiny front lock, and then you miss the momentum out of the corner. Yeah, is what it is.
Thanks, Max. Yep, another one.
Andrew Benson, BBC Sports. Charles, for you, at least from your on-track interviews so far today, you sounded a bit more optimistic about beating Max in the race, or at least challenging him, than you have done so far this year. But he's walked every single race this year that he's finished, so why?
Well, just the sprint race, we were a little bit closer to what we normally see. However, I also said that Max wasn't really happy with his car this morning in the sprint race, so we need to see how much of a step forward he does tomorrow, being happier with the car. But as I said, we did some fine-tuning on our side. We're also confident we did a step forward, so we'll see. But if we have a similar pace like we've seen this morning, then I think with strategy you can always put a bit more pressure. And I hope that is the case. We've got the 2 cars in the front, so it's a good opportunity.
Thank you. Another one.
Jesus Balseiro, Diario AS. Question for the 2 Ferrari drivers. What do you think about the first corner here, about the start? In China, you 2 lost 2 places each, and also this morning the start was a bit messy. So do you think the first corner is a place to put Max under pressure, or maybe the race is way longer than the start?
I mean, the first corner is obviously always important, and Max has a very strong race pace. So it's definitely an opportunity to attack, but that's only if there's an opportunity to attack. This morning there was. Adrian made the pass. Tomorrow, if we manage to make it, then I will be happy, and if not, we'll be a bit more patient and try to keep those tires to attack later on.
Same. I think I almost suffer a bit the consequences of that tough start here in the sprint. I did a really good start, and I nearly overtook Checo and Daniel, but then I think Checo did it in turn 1, and it cost us both a position. I think there's things that can happen, although I think over the last few years it is true that everyone seems to be getting away at the starts very similar. There's no more the differences that you could see in the past. I think everyone more or less gets off the line at the same pace, and it's difficult to make the difference there.
Thanks both. Another one.
Dan Lawrence, Motorsport Monday. Question for Carlos. In the sprint, obviously you got stuck behind Daniel there, and it's difficult to pass. With the opening of Parc Fermé between sprint and Grand Prix qualifying, have you found anything in the car that could perhaps help you sort of maybe fight and make more moves in the race?
No, unfortunately, no. I think it's a matter of a trade, that you choose between downforce, power unit settings, etc. I think Daniel and Honda this weekend, they seem to have a lot of acceleration out of the low speed corners, and this was allowing them to be a very tough car to overtake. You could see that Checo on the Honda power unit managed to more or less make it stick. Obviously, they are also a bit more friendly to the Red Bulls than they are to the Ferraris because of obvious reasons. But apart from that, it was honestly very tricky. The only thing missing there was the mistake yesterday in the sprint quali that made me start behind Daniel in the race. And when you put the compromises for setup, you don't expect to start behind an RB. Also, tomorrow we're starting in a more of a normal place, and we'll fight people with similar downforce levels to us and similar top speed levels. And this move should make it better.
Thank you. Another one, please.
Rodrigo França, Car Magazine Brazil. Question to the three drivers. Do you drivers feel that you get more attention in US? Do you think Formula One is getting more popular in United States since you begin the career in Formula One, comparing the last years?
For sure. I mean, compared to 2015, I think it has grown a lot. I think if you compare it to the population they have, it's still very, very low. But for sure, we get recognized a lot more. I prefer, of course, I was not known. But no, it's good. I mean, the fan atmosphere is great. You can see it's a lot busier in the cities. I mean, our prime example is, of course, Austin. You know, from 2015 to now, it's definitely a lot busier, a lot more fans in town, recognizing you in the hotels as well. And that's great for the sport.
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, obviously, it has changed quite a bit since my first years in 2018. It's good to see. I thought you were speaking about tension or pressure. For us, it doesn't change much. If anything, there's, as Max said, still a little bit less. It's not like Europe, let's say, but it's growing, which is nice.
What's been the fan reaction to the blue?
I think everybody expected more blue on the car, but I think everybody loved the actual kit, which is great. But to me, a Ferrari should be red, so I'm happy it's not an all blue car.
Yeah, same. I think it's great to see the sport growing in the US. It's not the only place where it's growing. I was very impressed with China. After 5 years without going to China, you really can feel the difference. You know, last weekend out in Shanghai, the difference between China 5 years ago to China now, the amount of fans there were and how involved they were with the sport is unbelievable. And the US is more progressive because we are growing, I think, in a more progressive way. And it's great to see. Sometimes in the cities it gets a bit hectic, like Max was saying, or coming into a track, but it's a price that you pay for maybe being a bit more recognized, a bit more famous, which is a good problem to have for the sport.
Thanks all. Yep, another one.
Ronald Vording, motorsport.com. It's a question to Max about the unpredictability. Do you have a clue what is the main factor behind it? Is it just a unique layout of this circuit? I remember last year you talked about the Mickey Mouse section of the track. Or is it that the tires we have nowadays are just not suitable for this conditions? And the second part of the question, do you agree with Carlos that the tire choice is a bit too conservative for this weekend?
I think it's everything. So the track, the tires, the car, the weather, just very low grip. Yeah, they overheat very quickly for whatever reason. Yeah, I think they are conservative, but at the same time we're already overheating, which I mean, I would like a bit more, you know, like races like 2 stops, 3 stops. I think it's a lot more fun than having a straightforward 1 stop. You know, it's not really that challenging, I think, also for the teams and drivers also. So yeah, you know, when you have a race like in China, you know, you can do a 2 stop. I think it just opens up, you know, a bit more flexibility in the pit windows, and I think it's a lot more fun. So, yeah, maybe we could try to go softer, but we have to speak to Pirelli about that. I don't know if they want to do that, but yeah, it's a lot of things that come together that make it very tricky around here. I mean, I think the cornering speeds are also super low. So if your tire is a little bit out of the window and you slide a little bit, you lose immediately a lot of lap time, in a low speed corner. So yeah, if we would have a few more fast corners, that would be in general, I think, always a bit more preferred.
Thanks, Max. Do we have any more questions? No more questions.